Arsenal, Aston Villa. I mean, I feel like Arsenal are finding form and the form looks beautiful. 4-0 this weekend. They're up to third after this win at the Emirates. I mean, it was a thing of beauty to watch. Alessia Russo has now scored in 4 consecutive WSL games for the first time in her career, and I think she's weathered the storm a bit about people sort of saying, and I was one of those. I will fully admit that. Not saying I feel like we've seen her reach her full potential. I feel like she's a little bit off the mark. She's sort of not converting chances that we would expect someone of her caliber to convert, and it feels like the tide is starting to turn for her. Would you agree? I mean, the tenacity that we're seeing in the box is very I think everyone was kind of like, you want her to be more Ellen White, that kind of like that, just like that extra toenail to get that ball, and I see that a little bit more now in her.
Sure, I will say I do think she's a very different striker to Ellen White. So I think it's not just her. I think what's been good for Arsenal is a number of players who maybe were slightly out of form at the beginning of this season are finding their rhythm now, and it's just really collectively helping Arsenal to find their form. They look back to that kind of creative, fluid best. They could have won it by more.
Yeah, for sure.
My God. That freedom, before we were saying they were playing really restrictive. They felt like they had the weight of the world on their shoulders, and it just doesn't feel like that anymore. Definitely playing with more directness.
Yeah.
There's still some of that tippy-tappy stuff, fair enough, but it's not all the time, which I think is what we've been getting used to from Arsenal and getting very frustrated with. So I think that massively helped them at times, and yeah, I'm surprised it wasn't more goals. Very 100%. Much should have been.
I think in terms of the sort of the Russo that I now see and kind of the comparison to Ellen White, I suppose, I just feel that there's a kind of, I know there's a heart and passion in her. There's that kind of, even that the opening goal was absolutely stunning. Super deep free kick, the flicked on header. And I thought it was Russo who kind of rose above everybody else. And even the second goal that she scored, it was almost like a dead ball situation. You just assumed the goalkeeper was going to clear it. They didn't. She latched onto it and then converted out of the tightest of angles, out of pretty much nothing.
Wrong foot, I think, as well.
Yeah, on a left foot. And I just thought, for me, that just felt like a real big step up. A kind
ruthlessness.
And that's what I've absolutely loved seeing. We also saw a changed Arsenal midfield with Kim Little and Leah Volti out. Kyra Cooney-Cross, who every time I just mention her name, I can't help but smile. She's just like the loveliest person. And Caldenti played in central midfield. Do we think Arsenal have been underusing KCC?
Yeah, at times, and it did feel like a seamless transition when she came in, and it shows the depth that they have in that area. She's such a good player. I feel like we might see more of her if Arsenal go deeper into more competitions. They're going to have to kind of, rotate a bit more. Especially, with Little and Volti. I feel like sometimes Volti maybe is struggling a little bit with fitness, and understandable at the moment. She's had surgery on removing an abscess, I think it was. And Kim Little as well, managing her minutes. You've got the options. Like, you've got really good quality options, and people have been constantly calling for more KCC. So, yeah, she put in a stellar performance that I think will give the manager a selection headache.
Oh God! I mean, what a headache to have. I mean, Jonas had the same headache. I mean, that the attacking options are just relentless. And
sure, sometimes you put them all on.
Yeah, 100%. I'd take off the defence and just see what happens. Really, yeah.
Well, listen, this is the thing. Like, Russo's so good at dropping back. Beth Mead did a great defensive job against the USA. Maybe they could do it.
100. I would. I'd love to see it.
You'd be knackered though.
Maybe we'll see that in the FA Cup. It might be a chance to try something completely new.
Invert the team. Put the defenders at the front, the forwards at the back.
Well, I still think they'd absolutely smash it. Honestly, I mean, Leah Williamson is gunning for another goal. I'll tell you that for free. Listener Cody has asked on Instagram, defensively, did Aston Villa show up, or did Arsenal just deliver on the day?
I don't think Villa showed up on either end.
I didn't even realise Villa were there, if I'm honest.
No shots on target.
I think it was both. I think Arsenal were able to create chances because Villa were so they just underperformed massively. I think, as an example, I think there was a situation where, I can't remember who it was, but they lost Blackstenius, the running behind. What Stina did was absolutely fucking stunning on the turn. First touch, I feel like she felt the keeper coming out and knew that she had to go early whilst the keeper was like still rushing out and not set. So it kind of feels like there's those moments where Arsenal kind of are taking that gamble that certain things are going to happen, and that's the brilliance that I'm seeing. But also Aston Villa, something like losing your marker or just kind of like not
Switching
clearing
off.
your lines or like allowing a dead ball situation to suddenly become a goal. It wasn't good enough.
No, it was disappointing. Like to not have a shot. Something that Robert DePaul wanted to kind of say after the game was, well, we had equal share of possession. That's worse. Like to have equal share of possession and not have a shot on target, to offer so little. You'd almost rather be like, well, we only had 30% of possession. What were we going to do? Don't bring up that you had equal share of possession. That kind of highlights how ineffective you are with it.
I don't think it proves anything.
Which was surprising because they just feel like they have been playing some nice football. Then they had a dip. Then it felt like they were coming back to playing nice football. And yeah, I don't really know. Maybe they never would have won this game. I don't know. But I feel like it might be a performance they won't be drawing a huge amount out of that performance, I don't think.
No, I think the only one who could probably hold head up high was Sabrina D'Angelo. I think made some absolutely incredible saves. One of them was a deep ball, looked like it was going straight over her head, and managed to claw it out last minute.
Yeah, it could have been more.
Yeah, 100%. That could have been an even more embarrassing game for them. I think it's. We always say when managers kind of go into a game, be really, really careful. What you stick your words to your mast with, or something like that. Is that a word?
I don't know, but I get what you're trying to say.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm picking up what you're putting down. Yeah.
Yeah. Be careful, like what you put out there, because it could come back and
bite you in the arse.
Bite you in the ass. Robert DePaul said before the game he hoped his side would give Arsenal a big challenge. I don't think they felt it was challenging, if I'm being frank. Like you said, Villa didn't have a single shot on target. Listener Sophie's been quite savage. She said, is Robert likely to survive the season at Villa? Fan opinion seems to be switching up. Do we think this is a pivotal moment for Rob?
I mean, they face West Ham at the weekend, and if they win that, things will look slightly better for them going into December. They would, believe they would leapfrog West Ham, who are in 8th.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting to see if they do, if they manage that. I just feel like things look maybe slightly different. And as well, will they do anything in the January transfer window? Do they have budget to do things in the January transfer window? I think they probably have to give him time. Bringing in a new manager like this, they're not sitting dead bottom of the table, with miles behind everybody else. They're very much in a mix of teams that are struggling to find consistency. So it's not like it's just a them problem.
Yeah, I think I don't think managers have as much time as they possibly used to, bar Everton, who love a change around every 2 minutes. I just think the fan opinion, when it changes swiftly and very sharply. And I think if their performances don't improve, I think it will kind of become a little bit of like a Jonas Eidevall situation again, where people just lose their tolerance and patience for it. And that's my biggest fear, and I don't really want it to go that way, that it just sort of swings on a bad run of games or a bad season even. I think you do have to kind of ride those things out a little bit more, but we will wait and see. Happy Christmas, Rob. No pressure at all going into that festive break that is very well deserved. Arsenal's interim head coach, Renée Slegers, will be staying put until the new year. At what point are Arsenal just going to announce that she is the new coach? What she's done has been incredible. She's gelled the team together. They're finding the best form of their life. She seems to be getting the best out of a lot of the players that we didn't think maybe had reached their absolute full potential. And I know it's still early doors. I know it's only been, a couple of handfuls of games. But at the same time, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, to a degree.
What was that wince?
To a degree, I think I wouldn't put all of my eggs in the Renée Slegers basket.
Give her a year.
I think when they said they were going to give her to, the kind of October international window, or the previous international window, I believe it was, I did always think they'd hang on to her until the end of the year, particularly if they qualified in Champions League. It's not like there's an abundance of managers out there just floating around, although there were a couple that they apparently didn't even talk to, so that was interesting. But
it was interesting to see Nick Cushing go. I absolutely have every interest in staying at the MLS next week.
I will be in New York next year.
I am leaving the MLS. Oh, all right, okay. Well, yeah. I mean, he was the one who was kind of front runner, so maybe that's pending. But
I think like there is, of course, an element of the pressure that was around when Jonas Eidevall was there, and there is an element of new manager bounce and that pressure being off and getting good performances. I'd like to see them tested a bit more in this current form against some of the people further up the table. Love to see this current form against, say, a Chelsea or a Man City to really gauge where they are. Be interesting to see them against Bayern Munich as well next week in the Champions League. So she's doing a very good job, and
At what point, though, do you stop calling it a bounce when you're looking at 7 wins out of 8 matches?
But in how many of them were proper tests? Did you expect
they were
them?
all proper tests because you didn't know what Arsenal were going to do. I mean, at the start of the season, you'd say the points were up
But this is my point. New manager bounce, you improve, and then you're playing games you would be expected to win.
Okay.
So I do think credit where it's due, but I also think Arsenal are an ambitious club that want to be winning things. So it's that balance of how much of it is the manager, how much, so
For sure.
I think I'm glad they've kept her to at least the end of the year, because I think having that consistency while they're playing well, and it's something she spoke about, that the players and the staff are very good at being in the moment, which means they're less affected maybe when things change around them, and I think that's what's helping them.
Yeah, definitely. I think, it is going to be interesting. Obviously, 2 huge Champions League fixtures ahead. Vålerenga on Thursday and Bayern next week, plus Liverpool in the WSL Sunday. Ella has asked on Instagram, are Arsenal on the comeback for second spot? What do we think?
Well, there's still more than a win away from City, so you would need City to slip up again and to win the game against them. Like I said, I'd like to see them maybe tested a bit more, but nothing's impossible. Like that, what they just need to keep winning if they want to get further up and get closer and closer to City. But at the moment, so are City.
Yeah, you heard it here first, Ella. If they win, they might.
There you go. That's your answer. And City lose.
Nailed it.